Contractors sent us their marketing, and I'm roasting it. Bad logos, truck wraps, crappy websites, you name it, nothing's safe. Let's fix your crap. Let's jump in now. Fighters, welcome to the show today, and we're going to dig right in and cut all the fluff in the beginning. I'm excited to have our, what do we call you, Mike? Our marketing savant inside of Battleground is one of our coaches. This is one of your sweet spots, and I've done some of these roasts in the past, and this time I was like, let's get Micah on. Give us the 30,000-foot view of you and your marketing chops and results that you're doing so people pay attention, because you're on here for a reason. You know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. So I really focus a lot on the social media side of things. That's really where I've put a lot of effort. And the reason I've put a lot of effort into that side of the business is I've seen that word of mouth is greatly enhanced when social media is at its peak. And what I mean by that is we get a lot of referrals from this lady, Linda. Linda also happens to be my #1 fan on Facebook. You think that's a coincidence? No, I don't think so. I think that those two things are tied, that they work and link very closely together. And so when we put a lot of effort into our social media and our media presence, it does a really good job for bringing in the referrals and keeping us top of mind for those people who actually are referring us the work. Because I don't really like to pay for ads. I don't like to pay for leads. I don't like to pay all these services online. What I really want is people just talking about me in the local market.
You've done a hell of a job. Last I had this conversation with you, you spent about 1.7% on marketing, roughly.
Yeah, we're a tiny bit up over that. I think we crested the 2%.
Yeah.
You're right.
most of yours is content creation, correct?
Correct. Labor, and I've spent a little bit of money this year creating a couple ponds, and we built those at our display. So I did break our budget just a little bit to get some ponds built, get some really cool content, and we recorded a new pond construction DIY video and also pond installer video in English and in Spanish. And then we're launching another website. So I've spent a little bit more than I usually spent on our marketing this year.
How much do you spend on ads?
We run a $3 a day Facebook ad.
Okay.
It is the only thing we do, but it's this $3 a day. And what I found is if I give Facebook just a little bit of money, even though we have, almost 30,000 or just over 30,000 followers, I'm not sure exactly where we are on Facebook, but even though we have a lot of followers on Facebook, if I give Facebook just a little bit of money, I've noticed that they push my content just a little bit harder. So we've decided just to give them $3 a day. We turned it off for a year to see what kind of traction we got with it off. So we actually, literally, we said on this day in May, we're going to shut it down. And on this day in May, we're going to turn it back on, or sorry, March. On this day in March, we're going to turn it off. And this day in March, we're going to turn it back on. Almost as soon as we turned it back on, we went from getting, around 100,000 views, pretty steadily on some of our videos to having a bunch of them pop off and hit over 1 million views, just literally just like that. So that's the only ad spend that we have on on a platform. We do work with a local TV channel station, and I go on there as kind of their talk show and talk on there and do a couple pieces of content. But as far as actual ad spend, that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what are you going to hit this year?
If everything goes as planned, we'll do about 6 million in sales, 6 million, 6 to 6.4 in sales, and then revenue will be somewhere around 5.5, 5.7.
Awesome, man. Well, you ready to dig into some of these?
Absolutely, I'd love to.
And I think we got a bunch of submissions here. And
I was looking through it. It's hard to pick from one.
It was. We can't get to them all, but I know we're going to go a little bit deeper in this first one and then a little quicker on the other one. So right here, first one right out of the gate, first edition remodeling.
I'm sorry for the things that are about to come out of our mouths right now.
Well, guys, in the submissions that you sent, a lot of you guys were like, "Give it to me straight." So we're going to give it to you straight.
I feel, if I give it to you straight with no emotion, then you get to decide how you feel about it.
There you go. All right. So what do you got here?
So I was poking around on it, and the first thing that I noticed about this one is the very, very first thing is it's extremely wordy. And my ADHD kicked in, but I had a really hard time just focusing on where I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to do. There's a big block of text there. Nothing's bold, nothing's italicized, nothing, no keywords are popping out. None of these things are really a good place for me to focus. The second thing that I noticed is the call to action is really not a call to action to really get deeper into the website. And if I have a website that has a reasonable amount of content on it, I really would want to pull people deeper into the website and have them clicking around and have them seeing what other content is on my website so that I can build trust. So there's no option for trust to be built in this first, top third of the page. And that's really what I would want to see.
Yeah, the call to action here is get a free estimate.
Yep. And it just takes you to a contact page, which isn't very dynamic. That is
Yeah.
a note that I had for later, but since you're on it right now, I'll make a note here is that it's super easy in this day and age to put your Calendly on here.
Yeah.
I don't see why you wouldn't. So I have plenty of times a client will say to me, just that happened the other day, this lady, super shy, super shut in, didn't really want to talk to anybody. She said, you made it so easy for me to just click a link and schedule a call with you that it took the fear out of it. I could just click. I didn't have to pick up the phone. I didn't have to do anything. I was able to just click and schedule a call, and then you called on that time frame. And so, there's no reason a contact page shouldn't have a link to a calendar and an option to just grab a call with whoever the sales or the setter is.
And one of the other things I want to do here, guys, I always drag the corner on a desktop. And if it shrinks like this and fits the screen, it means it's what they call a responsive website.
Yeah.
So this is what it looks like on a phone or an iPad.
Major ding if Google will ding you because it tests this. If you don't respond, you do get a pretty big ding.
Yeah, we have another website we're going to be looking at, guys, where it's not responsive here coming up after this one. I think one of the next ones we're going to do. All right, so plus sign here for these guys, a point for having a responsive site,
Yeah.
a point for having a website.
Right.
All right, great. And again, Mike and I were talking about this yesterday. Like, these are our opinions, and the real results are: is your website making you money? It's a
Right.
tool, just like a power saw or anything, or a dingo or whatever you got, right? It should make you money, and so. And to make you money, it has to get found, and people need to stay on it long enough and give a shit to fill something out if you're going to make
Yeah.
money with it. So, what else you want to dig into on this?
Yeah, and to bolster that point just a tiny bit, if we say something and somebody's like, "Well, I've got great results and I'm getting great sales
Mhm.
off of this," then perfect. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. The hardest thing is just doing something. I can't always point to my marketing being like, "This is the thing that works. This is the mark." Yeah, I track where my leads come from. I track how much we spend on it. I track a bunch of stuff, but I can't always just say like, "This is what works." And if somebody has contrary evidence and it's working for them, I'm not going to sit there blue in the face and argue with them. I'm going to be like,
Right.
awesome. Actually, show me. How is it working? I would like to know because I'm very curious because I want to make sure that I'm not missing something on my end. So this is what we're talking about here. Like Tom said, this is just what what the marketing we've done and the knowledge that we have and the experience that we have. This is kind of where we're speaking from.
Yeah, and to your point earlier about it being real wordy, like
Yeah.
I
What are we looking at?
when I look at this,
I can't read that.
I I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Meaning, this looks like work to me, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like when I look at all of this, I'd rather see all this. Like, why choose us? Put a video there.
Yeah.
you know and even here where it talks about the different services, that's great. But these are pretty big long paragraphs, and I think these should be like uh almost like headlines that you want to read.
Yeah.
You know
It
what I
should
mean?
just kind of pull you
Yeah.
along. It should be,
Yeah.
instead of custom decks, decks that fit your lifestyle or, a not non-standard, but it should be something that kind of you're like looking for something that your neighbors don't have. It should be something that just makes it like, oh yeah, I see that picture. Yeah, it kind of brings me along. See more of these, learn more of these kind of things. Understand, the link could say, see other options. You know, it could just kind of pull you through. So you're like, oh, I kind of want to click on that. Like my neighbors can't have this deck, and now I kind of want to see a little bit more. I want to get a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, and I read, you read, we read books, I read all the time, but I read things that pique my interest. And so I think the text here has to pique the
Right.
interest a little more.
Yeah. So another thing that I noticed on this website is that top background image. I clicked around on the website a little bit, and there are better images of work. You have done better work than this. The problem on my phone and my computer when I look at it is that image actually doesn't scale for me properly. So I can't actually see anything other than the top half of that house, which is it didn't, you know, because I'm zoomed in too much, zoomed out too much. I don't really know, but I did not see the actual deck in this house. It was gone. So I think you have better pictures of your work that you can use. I would find a better image, you know, even if it's just one of your team that has like a friendly face. I know you said you were in a lot of these pictures. You know, I would do something that's a little bit more inviting to the web page.
Awesome.
Another thing that I noticed, and this is something that I recommend for a ton of web pages, and I don't see it on here. I know you've got your pricing, you've got your deck estimator, which I think is cool, and I've got a couple notes on that I'll talk about in just a second. But another thing that I really like to see on a lot of these pages is a project recap. When I first started doing these, I only did 4, and I took a job. And I took before pictures, I took during pictures, I took after pictures, I did a Facebook Live. This is the extent of my documentation, right? Before, during, after, Facebook Live. I'm not creating some fancy YouTube video. I'm not doing anything eloquent. That's the extent of the work. That's really easy to get. If you can't get those, then you probably shouldn't be in business. Super, super simple. I then went and wrote a very simple write-up. Here's what the job was. Here's the facts of the matter. Here's what needed to happen in order for us to get this to the reason behind the job. And here's how we made it happen. And then I put those pictures, put those videos, exactly, right here. Here you go. Put them all into a blog.
Micah's website, you guys. So and sorry to interrupt you, but I refer to your website all the time. I probably give you 2,000 views a year on your website because I show people when I do this. But like what I like about this is you have the title of what it is, it's attractive. You talk about the different things you did on the job. You talked about the rough timeline and the approximate budget. You list materials. And and then here's like, the before, you had your sketch
Yep.
and all that. And then, I'm not going to read all this right now, but like you tell the story of what they were after, concerns they had, you know, before the project here, you're pointing and doing video that, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Breaking down each part of the project.
And it doesn't have to be this evolved. This is one of the more evolved
Yeah,
ones.
you've been at this damn near a decade now and you've evolved over time, but just guys, just start with the project profile,
Right.
with some pictures.
Because what I found with clients is not everyone, and I don't want to bash clients, like this is not what I'm trying to do, but most people don't have imagination. Even some contractors I run into just have no imagination. And we sometimes have to paint the picture of what could be, the starting point to what the ending point is. And that's what one of these project recaps does, is it shows like somebody might see the back of their house and they're like, dang, back of my house looks just like that. Look at what they did. Look at all the things that they put together and all the ways that they built it out. So help people imagine. Give them the before, give them the during, give them the after, give them some videos, show your personality, because what's going to happen is they're going to be on there no matter how terrible you are at your videography. If you're on camera trying to explain a job and you're just being as real can be, and you're just explaining the job and you're just walking through what you're doing, people will buy into you because they will see you as a person, not just being on your website, seeing it as a static, flat, undynamic space. Your website should sell for you 24/7. It should have these project recaps on it, which include the pictures and videos I talked about, which include the pricing, which include the materials you use. You've already taken that first step to put the pricing on here. Go the next extra step and make 4 recaps show these deck projects that you've built and show
Mhm.
what it took to get from start to finish.
Well, another thing I know that you do, Micah, is when you have leads come in that have similar features on projects that they're talking about, you will send them a link to these things with assignment selling and go, hey, check this out,
Yep,
before we have our meeting. And now guys,
absolutely.
they're seeing the dream, they're seeing the timeline, they're seeing the approximate cost of some of these things. And I imagine, Micah, that weeds out a lot of the tire kickers.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started doing recaps, it's probably been about 6 years since 6 years. 2018 was my first recap, so
Mhm.
7 years. I put my first 4 recaps on my website, and when at that time I was getting around 1,200 leads per year. I'm now down to getting about 300 and some leads per year. And, as a result, everybody's like, oh, you're going the wrong direction. Well, I'm going the right direction because I'm not wasting my time dealing with 1,200 leads to find the people that I need in order to sell almost $6 million this year. And so
Yeah.
to me, that's going in the exact right direction. The website is weeding out people who don't have the budget, who aren't interested in our design process, who aren't interested in working with us. And so, yes, if you're afraid of getting less phone calls, the answer is you are going to get less phone calls. But the idea is that they are the right phone calls for your business.
Yeah. So we're on the blog here.
Yep.
So I give you a point for having a blog. But you only have one blog post.
Yeah. What I'm about to say is probably going to take away a couple points.
Go
So
ahead.
yeah. So well, there is only one. A blog, though, is almost like an FAQ. It is an opportunity for you to establish yourself as the expert in the industry. It is an opportunity for you to plant your flag and say, here is how you should do something, or here's what it should look like, or this is the process of something. This right here feels like you're telling me that I hear the excuse all the time of, blogs shouldn't be built in the winter. And here's the exact answer to this like question. So it could be that this still is a good blog, but I don't think that it should be worded the way that it's worded. It feels too salesy. It feels too much like a pitch. It
Yep.
feels like you're trying to get work and you're trying to drum it up. And if I was a client, I'd kind of be like, I didn't learn really anything from that. It should be something like along the lines of what are the right seasons to build a deck in? And it could say, the best seasons are these seasons. If you're looking for XYZ, winter could actually work. And here's the reasons winter could work. So kind of pull back a little bit off of the I'm trying to sell you on doing the winter work versus, all the time.
Well, it comes to thinking like a customer.
Yep.
They don't know what we know, you guys. And so that's why I typed into this incognito window, can I build a deck in the winter? Right? That's more in line with what they're going to do because to your point about FAQs, guys, I like to have our blog posts things that people are actually searching for.
Yeah.
you know, or like you said, I mean, these are other things people are searching for, but when is the best time of year to
Right.
build a deck?
And I bet you if we did a query, this particular question gets asked way more times than can I build a deck in the winter? When's the best time to build a deck would be the great way to start it. And then you could go through the seasons and you could make a very quick grid on a spreadsheet and you could just have pros and cons of different seasons. And it could be a pro of doing it in the winter is that we can give you a $1,500 discount if you sign on during the winter. Con of doing it in the winter is that we give you a 2-week time frame. We might turn around and have to give you a 1 month time frame. These are things that you need to be flexible with. So you could almost paint it as let the people like put all the decisions in front of them and let them make the decision of whether they like that idea. Instead, this feels like you're kind of jamming it down their throat. Like, hey, this is you should be buying from us in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to
Oh,
talk about the about page quick here. Brandon, I love that you are on here. What I don't love is you look crabby. We want to smile. We want to be inviting, right? Lighthearted. You just look intense in this picture. And so I'll take the picture, retake it, and just smile. Um, that that sends a message. That's just my first take on this. Anything you want to talk about here?
No, I would say go into the story a little bit. As much as you're comfortable sharing about who you are, where you live, what your lifestyle is. I have this little phrase on my website, and it says, "We started out as the lawn boys."
Mm,
You know, a couple friends in high school. And you would be shocked how many people say to me, "So you started in high school?" Right?
yeah.
So like all of a sudden I know that they have been on my website and that they have been reading. So give people a little something to latch onto. You know, when we're building, social media content, we do the same thing. Like at least once a month, we try to do something absurd that is just like something that people remember and that it makes it easy for them to bring it up in conversation, or it's something that they would want to share, or something, unique. So share a little bit about yourself that would just people would say they would read it and they'd be like, huh. Okay. And then when you see them, it's almost like you've given them the icebreaker of how to talk to you and how to start to relate with you.
Yeah, like right here, if I just skim this, welcome to first edition, serving blah blah blah, locally owned, no job too big or small. It just sounds like a pitch right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Where I would love to hear, and I'm gonna make up your story for you, Brandon, here, but it might be it was, February of 2016, and my wife lost her job. Tell the story.
Yeah.
Or whatever it might be, whatever the situation was. It was a winter morning. I was having a cup of coffee and I was working for somebody, and tell the story of how it just popped into my head. What if I started my own business? And I had doubts about it. Could I pull this off? What would it take?
Yep.
This and that. Like make yourself a human. So, all right,
And the
good.
reason this works is because everybody roots for the underdog,
Yeah.
whether they know it or not. And if you tell the story, people will root for you. And it's just every movie you see, like if they show the person, like even if they show the bad guy as the underdog, you inadvertently find yourself trying to get on the bad guy's side and that you want him to win because he's the underdog. So establish yourself as the underdog. Don't self-deprecate, but establish yourself as like, this is the story. This is what we're fighting for. Get people to fight with you.
Yeah, my brother, he owns a painting company outside of Chicago, that he just started a couple years ago. And I'm actually talking to him now about doing some marketing for him and things like that because he's just behind on it and whatever. Um, but he started his business because my nephew has some massive medical needs and he needed another income stream. And I'm like, dude, you got to put that all over, you know? Um, and he's starting to do that. So it makes you a human, makes you relatable, and to your underdog point. So
Yeah, and it doesn't need the first and foremost thing that you see, but it should be somewhere tucked in there as people are digging, they get to know who you are,
yeah.
and they'll learn to trust you through that.
All right, let's dig into this next one.
I did
And
have one other thing.
all right,
Can you pull
yeah.
that back up and then go to his calculator page? Because
Uh,
I know, sorry.
damn it, Micah. Here we go.
Just real quick, go to this deck estimator. So first off, excellent job putting a calculator that gives you a quote on your website. This is the first step. This is the most important step, is actually getting some pricing on your website. So good job. What would be even better though? If you made a video walking through how to use this and explaining to people what the value of this is and explaining what the options are. And it doesn't have to be this super polished video, but just have a video explaining, going through the whole process, what it looks like, show maybe a couple pictures of a finished product. Just make this a little bit more dynamic so people will want to live on this page for a little bit longer and they'll feel like they're talking to you when they're going through this price estimator.
Yeah, and I would capture their info here before they get the estimate.
I disagree.
Yeah, that's good because because we have a calculator on our website for our painting company, and people will fill it out, and now we call and we follow up. To your point, you're like,
Yep.
I'm just giving it to you. There's no
Yep.
ask, right?
There's no
I
ask.
know
And
you
then if
enough to know that's how where you're coming from. So
Yeah, because so I would say in my generation, if somebody won't give me something without asking or without me giving them something, it feels phony. So like previous generations, it's perfectly fine. But what we're seeing is that millennials and Gen Z are moving more towards, so if that's your client base, they're moving more towards, you just give me the information, and when I'm ready to move forward with you, I'll come back to you. Or you know, and what they're going to see is that they're going to go to other websites. Nobody's giving them this information. They're not going to trust anybody else except for the person who gave them the information. But Marcus Sheridan doesn't agree with me on this. Marcus Sheridan has gone the same way you've gone, Tom, where he's saying, nope, you've got to give me your contact information if you want the information. So what we've done is we've said, give us your email if you want this in a PDF form, but I'm going to give you all the information for free while it's here on the website. It's kind of a hybrid approach to that. But I believe that you should just be able to grab the information and have it instantly. Otherwise, I'm going to end up having to follow up with you. And I don't want to do that. I don't like people.
Did you just call me old, by the way?
Yeah,
You
I
said,
did.
my
Here,
generation.
my generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
You can live
So
with it.
let's head to this one. Deck by design. So first thing out of the gate, I'm going to grab it. It's responsive. All right. Let me pull it back. My first thought when I pulled this up, and this again, this is opinion. I'm not a fan of like fancy looking writing. Just harder to read for me. And I don't know, like, if this is the logo, is this on trucks? That's hard to read. Yard signs, it's hard to read. That was my first take on this. Was it's just I have to work to read it. I want like an idiot proofed, real clear, simple font. That's just
Yeah.
that was the first thought I had without going anywhere on the site. What's your first impression here?
Yeah, so I think that the video content and kind of showing the work very valuable because you're earning trust right off the bat because there's some beautiful spaces. Probably so I definitely agree. It feels a little bit repetitive to have the logo up top and then the logo over top. So I
Yeah.
would almost want to see that logo up there and then see something that is like your catchphrase
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, enjoying the outdoors or you know, maybe it's dedicating to serving Northeast Ohio, you know, with quality integrity. I don't really like that caption. I also don't really like the phone number just below there. So I would almost want to have like whatever your catchphrase is. Like we have a catchphrase, we say, get outside, my friends. Like I'd almost want it to be something along those lines to kind of pull me into the website. And then good job on having the options below. But I would drop the phone number out of there. I would drop the logo, the name of the company yet again. And then I would move more towards your catchphrase with 2 calls to action or even a 3rd call to action underneath of that catchphrase.
What do you think of these calls to action?
It really should just say video gallery or photo gallery. Like, of course, I'm going to be clicking, you know, like, okay, what else am I going to do? You know, I'm just going to like look at that. You know, I'm not going to press it, right? So it should say video gallery or photo gallery. But even deeper than that, it should really just be, you know, again, back to my project recap. I think that that should be the heart of every website, a project recap, showing the work that you've done, showing the reason behind it, showing the pricing. So that should be the first option. And then the second option should be, you know, either view the gallery or contact us because there are certain personalities. You know, if we go back to disc profile, we have DISC, right? So the DI are going to want to just connect directly with you. They're going to want to get right to your, you know, grabbing a phone call with you. They're not going to spend a lot of time clicking around on your website. But your SC clients, which make up the majority of the population, your SC are actually going to want to click around on your website and earn trust before they give you a call. And so you want to have a contact us for your DIs, and then you want to have your project recaps for your SC so that you can kind of satiate both people right out the gate. So I'd almost want to have those 3. So project recaps, like about us or photo gallery, and then a contact us.
Got it. The other thing I want to say about the video here and the images I'm seeing, for the most part, I just want to make sure I'm not lying, is they're all finished projects, right? I've seen guys, Micah, where they have an image on their homepage or something, and it's like a project in progress.
Yep.
You know, and we want to sell the dream, you guys. So good job on this. Let's see. I'm always wondering what's going on with the blog. All right. Last blog was June 11th. Then it was May. Then it was May. Then it was March. I think if you're going to create content and blogs, you know, you got to be consistent.
Yeah. A year ago, just it's kind of like, oh, this dude's a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then choosing the right deck frame, let's talk money. That title does nothing. Okay. You know, again, think more like FAQs. Think what people are typing in. Like is somebody typing in, you know, discover the timeless appeal of timber frame pavilions? you know, um, you know, how you could go as simple as what is a timber frame pavilion? Okay. So contractors, there are pros and cons. All right. My guess without reading this is this was written because, you know, you're tired of competing against low ballers that, you know, and you're trying to like kick their legs out from underneath them and position yourself higher and stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of a response to the market.
Tool review. Again, who's the audience?
Hmm.
Mr. and Mrs. Joe homeowner don't give a shit necessarily about the tool that you're going to use.
Right.
Job. Now, if you were going to do the ultimate do-it-yourself deck building guide, you know, then you can talk about tools and techniques and education, and that's fine because you're giving. All right. Anything else on this one you want to peek at before I move the last one for today?
No, I think I clicked around a bit and I saw like his 3D modeling. I thought that was really cool how he kind of went into the 3D modeling. I thought that was a great place to start and kind of teach some people of what his process is. I did look at his process as well, and I think that the 3D modeling should move over to his process page with some of those pictures, and it should be built in because right now his process page just doesn't have like the sex appeal that this 3D modeling does. So I'd almost want to like drop off the 3D modeling page and like put it in with the process page because I think that's where he's trying to sell people is like, hey, I want to show you how I put this plan together and how I plan for your project, and I think you would really like to see it. So I think that I think those two pages should almost be combined. The same thing for this video and photo gallery. Like I almost feel like you know, I kind of clicked around and I'm like, yep, I get it. I understand the video, but the video page should really switch to a project page and the photo gallery can say. I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing. It's like he's already almost there with the project's recaps. He's already got the you know the documentation with the video and showing the whole project and with his YouTube channel and stuff like that. But he's not quite there as far as showing like, hey, here's how much these things cost, and here's why we built the deck this way. Here's why the stairs are located in this particular place. Here's why we didn't do a roof line. Like one of them, he shows like a pavilion built on top of a deck. Explain why you built the pavilion on top of the deck rather than extending the roof line, because chances are it had something to do with budget, it had something to do with permits, and it maybe was more of a temporary solution. But show that reason to people because people are going to want to understand why the roof line didn't get extended, and they're going to want to understand how that could impact their budget.
Exactly. Love it. All right. Last one here for today. True quality homes. So I grab it, I pull it. You guys can see it is not responsive.
I like those photos.
Yeah, the photo's beautiful.
Stunning.
Like this, see guys, I have to move this around on my phone to be able to see everything. And so first thing I would do is talk to your web person.
Let me pull it up on the phone because I just realized we didn't actually pull it up on a phone. We just true quality homes. Let me just pull it up on there and just make sure it's so it does go to a mobile. It is not a responsive page, but it does on the mobile, it does go to a mobile site. So on an iPad, it'll a lot of times it'll make it like the responsive page will scale to an iPad, will scale to an iPhone, and will scale to a desktop.
Okay.
Let me pull this up on here. Still, I would I'd want it to be able to do both. Let's pull it up on the iPad. That'll show us another image. Okay, yeah. So now on the iPad, it's doing the same thing it's doing on the computer. It's not scaling just right on the iPad.
So the pictures are nice, you know, clean.
Yep.
You know, I'm scrolling down the home page. We get to our services again. Kitchen remodeling, show an image of a kitchen. Okay. Show an image of a bathroom or a basement. This is way too much text. Tell the story. Obviously there's some themes here that we've been talking about. Project planning is interesting. I'm like, okay, what's that mean?
Yeah, it's just talking about themselves the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, like to begin give us a call. We deliver. We're awesome. We've done all these jobs. Blah, blah, blah. Quality, what sets us apart? This is all about them, not about the client. So how would you word some of this? How would you do this page?
Yeah, so I would flip it and I would say something, like you're a trusted remodeling contractor. You'd almost want to flip it to say, like quality begins with a plan,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or something along those lines. You'd want to take you out of it and kind of put them in the driver's seat. And it's like, ready to start transforming your home, where to start? It's like, give us a call. No, like it's where to start is you need to know what they want. So where to start should honestly be, understand the aesthetic that you're wanting to get. So you should kind of push them more towards doing like homework and then say, we have these three aesthetics. You could go chic, you could go contemporary, you could go traditional. So it's like where to start is to understand what aesthetic you're looking for. So kind of get them to buy into the process a little bit. Stop talking about yourself and start talking about like what the process actually consists of. Saying quality is what sets us apart. Everybody says that. Everybody says that their quality is what sets them apart. I don't see anybody not saying, like, who's going to say that we're not a good quality. People just kind of expect, like, if they're on your website and you've got a good reviews and things like that, that your quality is already there. So it should be something along, like the lines of, I can't think of something right off the bat, but it should be talking about the homeowner and what they're looking for. That could be clean from start to finish, a clean experience from start to finish, and then detail like what does that what does that clean experience mean? They're going to be like, oh, okay, they set up these different air purifiers and they set up, screens and they set up plastic to make sure that the house stays clean. Like talk about how your process so that when they are then talking to another contractor, they're going to be like, hey, do you have a HEPA filter that you run, the entire process? I'm just assuming by the look of the pictures that you guys are protecting everything. So like ask those kind of, put those kind of questions in their mind to show that this is part of your process and your steps.
Yeah, on this about page, the other thing is I want to see you. You're a human. You're people, your team. And again, I haven't read all of this, but like down here, I just see as a veteran-owned business, like talk about your military service, talk about the lessons you learned in the military that you've carried over to your business. I think things like that are important. And I don't even see your name here. Like, because it says, as a veteran-owned business, we operate, we bring blah, blah, blah. Like, who are you? You got a typo in here. It says contact you, should be us. I believe.
Yeah.
You got some services. Again, great pictures.
I think that's part of the scaling issue.
Yeah.
It does say contact us, but it's
Sure,
part
you've
of the
got some
scaling
scaling
issue.
issues here in the middle of the screen. Where it all blends together. Again, it's just a ton of text.
Yeah. But again, like the photos are fantastic. I mean, this is some of the best photos that I've seen on a website. If these are your work, like great job. But give it a little bit more life. Show some pictures of the team. Take some of the money that you're spending on this photographer and have him meet you at the office. Get everybody dressed up in a polo shirt and take a couple pictures. It would be awesome.
I would agree on the picture thing. The other thing here, usually I scroll down. There's no social links.
I didn't notice that. That's usually the thing I check for.
Yeah, I always check. I always want to see like and just shows that you're relevant.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Go to Facebook, do a little dig on that.
Last post was April, it looks like, unless that's pinned. Then March.
Well, good. That should have been one post. That would have been one good post before and after. Both of those two first posts, they should have just posted those weighted, posted them together before, after. Transformation. It's the sexiest thing in human history.
Yep. Cool. All right. Anything else on this one?
There are, but I think if he worked on the dynamic, getting a project page up, the contact page, again, I think that the Calendly should be on there. And then finally, or I guess the last two things is that the project planning should have talking more about the client, and then his about should be talking about his journey in his life, as we mentioned on the other one. I mean, this is really simple stuff. We already stated it before, but just, especially you pointed out as a veteran, that's a lot of people, that's endearing, not in a bad way, but that they like to know that you're a service-oriented person, and they immediately trust you a little bit more because you were in service.
Guys, this is our first round. I think next time we'll come back, we'll dig into some things like truck wraps and business cards and some of those other things, yard signs that we've gotten submissions to.
And we'll go over the principles. I have the principles of marketing and where I believe you should start your spend and what you should be working on first, rather than moving on to a lot of people move on to the things that are ego driven first, rather than moving on to the things that are value driven and actually bring business into your company. So Tom doesn't agree with all of them, just fair warning, but it'll be fun to kind of break it down and see how it applies to some of these truck wraps and things that we're looking at.
Good stuff, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you carving out some time here today. Guys, take something that you learned here today and go tweak it, fix it, improve it. This stuff matters. This is working on your business. This is what it means to work on your business. And you can see, I think just look at things unemotionally. Put yourself in the buyer's seat. What are those things that annoy you when you go to a website or check out somebody's marketing or whatever, and tweak those things. But anyway, Micah, appreciate you, man. Looking forward to the next episode we do on this coming up soon. And you guys rock. We got to roll. Thanks for being part of the fight. We're out.